Hi guys, let's talk about how to show your worth to someone. So, let's talk about actually how not to show your worth to someone. So, I have talked about this before, but I gave you the energy explanation, which I'm aware that some people will not fully understand. So, now I'm going to give you an explanation that you will all understand. Okay, so what you guys do when somebody rejects you, somebody wants to break up with you, well, when somebody breaks up with you, or even when somebody ghosts you, or when you are in those initial stages of dating and the other person um, uh, is not is not fully interested, and you can kind of see that, so you're trying to prove your worth, those moments. So what you guys tend to do when you want to show someone, hey, I'm worthy, and I want you to treat me right, is that you are sending a bunch of messages. So we already said that this is chasing. This does not prove your worth to this person. If anything, it lowers your worth in the eyes of this person. And right now, I'm going to give you an example why and how. Okay? So let's imagine that you want to buy um, a really expensive car. And you go to the dealership and you talk to the seller, and the car is beautiful, it's great, it's perfect, but it's like super expensive. So what you do is, let's imagine it's a Tesla, just because that's that's my favorite brand. um, so you want to buy a Tesla, and you go to the Tesla dealership, and it's expensive. Teslas are expensive. So you just go home to think about it because you're not sure if you can afford it and all of that. And then the next day, the guy from the dealership calls you. So the seller, like, I will just use that term because it's just easier for me regarding to where I live and stuff. I apologize if it's the wrong term, but whatever. He calls you and he's like, hey, are you thinking of buying this car or not? Because I have a lot of customers interested in it. And uh, you're like confused, like, why are they calling you and why are they saying this? And you're kind of less interested in the car now because it's kind of like, hmm, it's weird, isn't it? You start to wonder, is this even a real Tesla dealership? What's going on? Okay. And then 2 days later, he calls you again and he's like, hey, I'm going to give you a 10% discount. Just tell me if you're buying the car or not, because I have so many other people interested in the car. Everybody wants this car. So do you want it or not? Because if you don't want it, I'm going to sell it to someone else and you can have this 10% off. And you're like even more confused. You're like, you want the car even less now. You're like, is this even the real dealership? What is this? And then after 3 days, he calls you again and he's like, hey, here is 50% off the car. Are you buying the car or not? And you're like, 50% off? This is not right. Something's off here. I don't like this. And then 2 days more pass and he calls you again and he's like, hey, I'm the manager. I deserve to be treated with respect. Why are you treating me like this? Why aren't you telling me if you're buying the car or not? So I hope this makes sense, guys. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that every time you do something like this, you are lowering your value, not for real, but in the eyes of that person. So lowering it by 10%, by 50%, just by sending those texts and saying, hey, I'm worthy, I'm worthy. Hey, so many people are interested in me. What are we? What's going on here? So this is not a healthy way to communicate your needs. It's okay that you're interested in what's going on here and all of that, but this is not the way to get there. So to show your worth, you have to be willing to leave and you have to respect the other person. So if the other person says it's over, you're gonna be like, okay, even though you don't want it to be over. You're not gonna chase them. You're not gonna bombard their phone because this is not showing them, hey, I'm worthy. This is showing them, hey, I'm not worthy. This is you lowering your worth. So I hope this short audio makes sense. I hope somebody realizes what I'm talking about, and I hope that you stop making this one crucial mistake that pretty much everyone does. Don't do that. Don't do that. You are not going to prove your worth by doing this. You're going to do the opposite, and then it's going to be really hard to bring them back, even with magic. So never ever do this. Bye, guys.